Mega Evolutions will be returning to VGC in 2026 with the release of Pokemon Champions. In my last two videos, I ranked the Generation 1 Megas, I ranked the Generation 3 Megas, and now it is time to rank every other Mega that I have not done so far. Now, as you guys can see here, we do have a mixed bag of Megas. We have some Gen 2s, some Gen 4s, a Gen 5, and a Gen 6. Now, very similar to what I did in my last couple of videos, I'll quickly go through the tier list, but please make sure you go and check those out, as again, we speak about each of the Megas there, for a couple minutes each, and kind of just give my initial thoughts on how good I think they will be heading into VGC 2026. So for the tiers, we have the meta-defining tier. This is the tier where I simply think if this Pokemon is available in the game, it will be very good. The very good tier is just as simple as that. These are just good, consistent Pokemon. It might be, a bit meta-dependent, right? There might be some formats where it's incredibly good, other formats where it doesn't see as much play, but all in all, still a solid Pokemon. The playable tier is just simply that. It's playable. If it's your favorite Pokemon, you can make it work, but it's probably not going to go and win a regional. And the needs help tier is pretty simple. This is the tier where these Megas just aren't really good. They need some kind of help, and we'll kind of go through why I believe they're kind of in that position. So to kick things off here, we have Mega Steelix. Now, Steelix actually, it's not too bad a Mega in my opinion, right? If you have a look at its stats here, Sand Force is pretty cool, meaning it is a very, very strong, Sand Sweeper, I guess. And if you have a look at the stats, 125 attack makes this Pokemon incredibly powerful. And honestly, it is not a bad Pokemon in Trick Room, right? Now, one thing I do want to check here is that it did get Body Press in the recent game, so you are able to abuse this absurdly high defensive stat, very similar to Mega Aggron. Now, I would say its role is probably very similar to Mega Aggron's, where, it's probably going to be like an Iron Defense Body Press mon, where you kind of want to, get that going. Of course, Steelix does have the options of running something else, a secondary move, whether that be, really probably something to hit Ghost types would be most optimal. And because of that, maybe Crunch is half decent. But in saying that as well, again, you have 125 attack, you have Sand Force. You could also just potentially look at running Double Stab. Of course, things like potentially Heavy Slam and Earthquake are definitely not too bad. I guess the other question is, do you get any other ground type moves? I'm sure it probably gets Stomping Tantrum, but does it get... the big question is, does it get high horsepower? I'm assuming no. It gets EQ. Okay, no, it actually does get high horsepower. Okay, so you do have single target there, which is not too bad. As we said as well, it also gets Heavy Slam. So there are a couple of sets that can run. This Pokemon realistically probably wants to run under Trick Room. Its stats are okay. Again, the Iron Defense Body Press stuff is going to be really interesting because, again, this is just, it's absurd, right? You Iron Defense once, you have 500 defense. At that stage, you just make sure you've got some Spadef, and honestly, this Pokemon feels like kind of okay. Like, you run some set like this under Trick Room. But realistically, I'm kind of going back and forth between playable and needs help. Like, I don't inherently think it's a bad Pokemon. But I also don't think there's anything they can really do to make a Mega Steelix, like, insane, unless they, like, swap its attack and defense. So, for now, I'm going to say it's playable, but it's probably the bottom of that tier. So, Mega Scizor. This Pokemon has actually been, like, pretty decent in the past. I believe there was, like, some rain teams that Mega Scizor was on that was, like, quite good. When you look at its stats, it is actually quite powerful. Like, 150 attack's very good. You get Technician. Of course, that buffs up, your main stab and Bullet Punch. It has access to Sword Stance as well, which is really good. I believe it also, like, Bug Bite as well. You can steal berries, and it's 90 base power, which is pretty solid. It has quite a good bit of utility moves as well, or, like, coverage moves. Of course, it does get that Scyther moveset, so it has things like Close Combat. I believe it also has some, what's it called? Dual Wing Beat as well, I believe, which is, like, kind of decent on this one with Technician. Where's Dual Wing Beat? There it is. Yeah, so that's, like, essentially, like, what, a Brave Bird, 120 base power with a 10% chance to miss. It also breaks sashes, so, like, definitely not too bad. Its stats are, like, pretty good, like that 100 defense, 100 Spadef, 140 defense is, like, pretty nice. The 75 speed, I believe, is actually a buff from base Scizor as well. Let me just pull it up. Yeah, so we can actually see the stats there. Overall, like, it really doesn't feel like it's that much better than base Scizor. Like, obviously, it's a bit bulkier, it's a bit faster. I mean, I guess that 40 in defense is actually, like, really good. But I guess, like, the big trade-off here is you obviously don't get to run a item on it. I would say, look, it's definitely better than base Scizor. You probably want to run the Mega. And, like, I do think it's... Yeah, I'm kind of, like, going back and forth on it in my head. Is it very good? Is it playable? This one I might adjust as we go forward. I'm going to just say, for now, it's playable. Actually, no, I'm going to go very good. The sole reason is, and I feel like I do this in... I've done this in every video so far. Flutter Mane exists, and this Pokemon can threaten big damage of the Flutter Mane. That buff Spadef also is, like, really nice as well, allowing it to Emu Blast. So, yeah, I'm just going to say it's very good. Next up, my guy, Mega Heracross. Absolutely love this Pokemon. It is my goat in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX with the skill link shenanigans. This Pokemon hits incredibly hard. It has really solid bulk. I think its issue is just its speed. It either needed to be like 50 base speed and you put like that 25 points into Spadef, or it just had to be quicker like base Heracross. Because like base Heracross is like quite a bit faster, right? It's 85 off memory, yeah. So like you're losing 10 speed points here, which like kind of hurts a lot. And, like schooling is like really cool, and you have options like Arm Thrust. I think it also gets like Pin Missile. So like it has like good stab options that it can abuse with skill link, but like at the same time, I don't know, part of me feels like why not just run like Moxie loaded dice? Like loaded dice is literally skill link now, so because of that, like I'm gonna go ahead and say this mon needs help. I don't think like it pains me so bad. I love Heracross. It's one of like my all-time favorite Pokemon, but like really in VGC, this is a downgrade. Like in singles where it only gets like single targeted, it's like probably okay. But like every team has flying types. You think about it, if like Tornadus is legal, it's on a lot of teams. If Talonflame's legal, it's on, like on a lot of teams. Like, you know, you're talking about like every big team feels like it has, you know, some big like flying type, right? Even, you know, heading into this metagame, I'm sure like Mega Charizard's going to be a really good Pokemon, and that's probably going to have Air Slash or Hurricane. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna say it needs help. We might change it later because I do think it's like it's really good in terms of stats. It's just its typing and its low speed kind of let it down a bit in my opinion. So Mega Houndoom, actually one of the cooler megas in my opinion, especially coming out of the Gen 2 Pokemon. With solar power, this Pokemon is incredibly powerful in Sun. I would say the biggest issue though for Mega Houndoom is the best Sun setter is actually Charizard Y. So it's like, why use a Sun Abuser like Houndoom with something like Ninetales or Torkoal when you can just use like Charizard and then you run that with like a Sun Abuser, you know what I mean? But in saying that, its special attack's really good. Obviously, you pair that with Solar Power, this Pokemon does stupid amounts of damage. 115 speed is very, very nice. Obviously, you know, it gets the Fire Dark typing, which, you know, obviously one of the best typings in the game. Incineroar, arguably the best Pokemon of all time. Chi-Yu, one of the GOATs, my favorite Pokemon. And then the 2025 World Champion. You know, just throw that out there. But yeah, look, Dark Fire coverage, it's never bad. In my opinion, this is just kind of Chi-Yu. But like, it doesn't, I mean, it's like, it's hard, right? Solar Power is like technically probably better than Beads of Ruin, but like Beads of Ruin helps your allies. Like, it's like probably on par with Chi-Yu, except it forces it to hold an items. Like Specs Chi-Yu is probably stronger. Scarf Chi-Yu is like also probably better. Like, honestly, I'm gonna say this Pokemon's like playable. It seems okay. Like maybe in a metagame where you have access to things like Koraidon, it's like fine. But like again, I don't know if you ever want to play this in a metagame where Chi-Yu's legal. Like, maybe it's cool, though. Like, again, the typing's really, really nice. Like, Fire Dark is just, like, such an insane defensive typing. And, like, its bulk is, like, not the worst. 75-99 is actually, like, okay. Obviously, you know, he get plot. I think he get plot. Yeah, he get nasty. Like, yeah, maybe this one's actually, like, okay. Look, I'm going to say playable. I think its typing's fantastic. Again, Fire Dark is just, like, really, really good. It's fast. It hits hard. It gets plot. I think it's probably playable. So, Mega Tyranitar. So, one of the things going for T-Tar is, again, we're heading into a metagame where assuming Champions is going to be a low power format by the looks of it, it is going to be relatively low power. I do expect to see quite a bit of weather. Now, I'm going to just stay on this screen here for a second because I think one of the biggest issues T-Tar or like Mega T-Tar is going to have is like, it's not that much better than T-Tar all round. And in saying that, of course, you know, T-Tar is still a very, very good Pokemon. I expect base T-Tar to be very good in the upcoming, at least at the start of Champions. But Mega T-Tar, like, it's not that much better all round. Like, it almost feels like the Assault Vest stuff is potentially better, and then you just put your Mega elsewhere. But in saying that, Mega T-Tar is still a very, very good Pokemon. Of course, you have access to things like Stab Rock Slide. You also have Stab Knockoff, two of the best, you know, moves in the game. This Pokemon with that little bit of extra speed actually can abuse Dragon Dance better than base T-Tar, which is like the one major thing going for it. Because if you have a look here, you know, if you want to run something like this, right, you hit that 123 number. Which gets you, you know, up into that, you know, 180-ish range. And then if we run a Jolly Nature, hits that 135, this allows you to outspeed, I believe this allows you to outspeed Adamant Dragapult. You know, obviously Jollypolt, you probably, are you catching Jollypolt? I don't think you catch Jollypolt, right? Nah, I think Jollypolt's like 143. So, like, it's still relatively quick. Obviously, this Pokemon hits really hard, so after a Dragon Dance, it's pretty good. And one of the biggest things, as we said earlier, is I expect a metagame where Charizard and also Salamence are going to be very, very strong Pokemon. So having a rock type that sets up the sand is going to be really good for Charizard. Obviously, you can threaten it with super effective damage. And also being that you are slower, you normally will get the, the Weather Wars 1 in that regard. And then also too, with, again, a rock type with 120 per def, this Pokemon will have absurd special defense. So you're going to be able to tank attacks like it, like it's nothing from those Pokemon. And again, just, throw massive damage at them afterwards. Because of that, I do think it is a very good Pokemon. Again, it's probably not going to be meta defining, but it kind of depends on the format. The reason I put it in very good is I do think in the early format, Mega Titar actually will be one of like the top 5, top 10 Megas. But it probably drops off as more powerful Pokemon come into the game. As we start seeing Pokemon like potential Urshifu's return, Sneasel's return, like these strong, fast fighting types, I do probably expect to see it drop just a little bit. But nonetheless, it's still very good. I think it's better than Mega Scizor. And yeah, I think it's just going to be very good very early in the format. So Mega Abomasnow is actually a pretty interesting Pokemon. So I know a lot of people automatically just like assume Mega Abomasnow is bad. I actually personally think this is one of the better buffed Pokemon in this game. Obviously, a big thing for Abomasnow coming into Pokemon Champions is it does get the new Snow buff, and it also doesn't hurt its allies anymore. So being a very slow Pokemon with base 30 speed, it can actually be pretty potent in Trick Room. 132 in both of its attack stats is pretty nice. Of course, you probably just want it in the special attack stat because you probably want to click things like Blizzard. But of course, having 90, 105, 105 is very good, especially when that 105 is buffed up by, the Sand, giving that 1.5 times boost to your physical defense. So because of that, very, very strong. Of course, as I mentioned, it has access to Blizzard. I believe it also gets Earth Power as well. Earth Power obviously helps you hit the fire types and the steel types, which is fantastic coverage on you. Do you get like Nasty? Yeah, I didn't think you got Nasty Plot. I don't think you get like Carmine or anything, right? Like double check this. Actually, you also get Aurora Veil too, which is like really interesting as well. It gets access to SD, but yeah, that's probably it. Helping Hand as well, actually. It's like not too bad, but yeah, I definitely think something like Blizzard, Earth Power, like Aurora Veil Protect is going to be like kind of common on this Pokemon. I don't think you need the grass coverage, but I guess like maybe something happens and like Leaf Storm's actually just fine. But yeah, this Pokemon hits really hard. I think the biggest question for Mega Abomasnow is going to be Torkoal's usage, and how good it is. Obviously, with Charizard being like the premier like Sunsetter most likely, I do think like Torkoal's usage will be kind of low. But I do expect to see, again, obviously it depends what Pokemon are in the format, but if we are going to see things like Indeedee, potentially Hatterene and stuff like that early on in the format, of course, that does open up the door for Torkoal to be like a pretty good secondary Sunsetter in the format. And I think if Torkoal is like decently played, Mega Abomasnow is going to be pretty abysmal. But in saying that, it has the stats, right? It's very, like, I don't want to say it's very bulky, but 90, 105, 105 is actually very, very good. 30 speed is like really solid. And that 132 special attack is like, it's still really strong, even like uninvested. I mean, I say uninvested, you're probably going to be playing this thing like Quiet Nature anyway, but like some stat spread like this does actually seem kind of crazy, right? Like we have a look at that special attack there. It hits 201, you're spamming out a base 110, Blizzard, which is pretty good. You got the chances to freeze. I'm going to say it's playable. I don't think it's very good. I think, again, Charizard's probably going to dominate the meta game. T-Tar is also going to be like pretty solid. Mons like Metagross are going to be good. Of course, it's like not bad into like Mega Salamence if you can hit it with the Blizzard. The issue is you can't really take like the Aerial 8 Hyper Voices that well, especially if they have a friend. I'm gonna say it's playable. Like I could actually see a world where this thing's like pretty good, at least in like the first format or two. But all in all, I don't think it will scale that well, like as the formats continue to I guess add more Pokemon. So Mega Ampharos, Fabio the GOAT, a legend. Absolutely love Mega Ampharos. When I was like 16 years old and I saw this Pokemon, I named mine Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I absolutely love the hair. It reminds me of a Super Saiyan. Of course, it gets Mold Breaker, which like isn't too bad. Like decent into the Pokemon with like Lightning Rod and stuff like that, but I don't think Mega Sceptile is like good enough to justify this one if I'm being honest. In terms of stats, the 45 speed is actually pretty solid. It underspeeds a lot of the common Trick Room threats. 165 special attack is definitely very, very good. And this Pokemon honestly is like Raging Bolt, kind of. I think Raging Bolt definitely has better HP. This does have better defensive stats. It does have, a higher special attack, but it also doesn't get to hold an item, and its ability is kind of bad. Definitely better under Trick Room, but I do believe there is no Draco. Yeah, so Ampharos not having Draco Meteor definitely hurts. I think if it had like Draco Meteor plus like T-Bolt or something like that, it could actually be like pretty decent. I'm just gonna. Oh, I'm torn. Like again, typing's really good. We know it's good. We see Raging Bolt, it's good. We see Miraidon, it's good. The speed stat's actually like really good for a Trick Room team. I believe it also gets like plot as well, right? Nasty doesn't get plot. You can see him. Dude, okay, maybe I was wrong. Oh, like I'm trying to like do my best to keep these tiers here. You get like no supporting moves at all. Nothing. Cotton Guard. Actually, dude, Cotton Guard could be crazy. You get Body Press. Nah, damn. I was gonna say Body Press Cotton Guard. Cotton Guard's actually a good move. I have realized that would make this Pokemon incredibly bulky on the physical end. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's playable. I don't think it's that bad. I think there is worse Pokemon to come. I'm just gonna say it's playable. Again, like there's so much that could change with this Pokemon. It might not like see any play, but like if you do use it, it's like okay. The typing's good into Zard. Like that's one thing. Like you kind of like have a really good typing into Zard. And that's kind of it. And because I'm gonna say it's playable. So Mega Lopunny, one of the actually most buffed Pokemon coming into this generation with its Scrappy ability. Scrappy now can't be intimidated, which is like really big. I think the issue with that though is like bad base abilities. Like you have a look, you're not gonna use Cute Charm. Flutz is like bad, and then Limber's like also kind of bad. I mean, like maybe you go Limber anyway, just so you can like pivot in on a T-Wave. But look, Mega Lopunny, again, it has that beautiful, that beautiful dynamic speed, which we didn't talk about at the start of this video, but I definitely should have. But I feel like this happens every video where I forget to mention, hey, dynamic speeds in the game until we get to a Pokemon that actually affects. But yeah, Lopunny goes from 105 to 135, making it very quick, and it goes from 76 to a whopping 136. So very fast, a very hard hitter. I always name mine Ludwig. Shout out the GOAT. And this Pokemon gets access to close combat. It definitely needs a new strong normal type move. Do you get Double Edge? If it gets Double Edge, I can actually just take back that statement. I don't think, I was gonna say, I didn't think it got Double Edge. It gets a double hit. Maybe it was like Technician boosted, but yeah, look, Scrappy's very good. Obviously gets, access to a Scrappy Fake Out, which is very nice. In any metagame, really, 135 speed means it's on par with things like Fluttermane. Therefore, if Mega Lopunny is like a half decent Pokemon, you could potentially force Fluttermanes to, play max speed, at least, on like non-focus sets. But then really Mega Lopunny's like biggest issue here comes is like, to me, doesn't have a good normal type move anymore. Of course, in the past, Return was very good. You have access to things like Quick Attack as well. But really, it does need that powerful, normal type attack, in my opinion. I don't think you get SD. Yeah, no SD. So, like, this Pokemon, I think is... I'm actually kind of torn. I was about to tell you guys I think it's very good. But, like, it's so hard. Because, like, I do think it's, like, if I was to rank this tier, right? I think, like, this tier probably looks something like this. And I think it's definitely worse than Scizor. It's probably better than Houndoom. I guess like another thing as well, you get like what's that ice type move you get? Is it Triple Axle? Does it get Triple Axle? Yeah, it gets Triple Axle. Like Triple Axle in a like Mega Salamence meta, again, really good. Like you just have that option to potentially nuke it. Ice Punch as well. I'd have to like look at the damage calcs, but maybe at like -1 you don't get it with Ice Punch. The Triple Axle is just like so damn strong, dude. Like, it doubles each time. Like it's kind of crazy. Like it's like 20, 40, then 80. So what's that? Like base 140 power. Even at -1, you probably still pick up. I'd have to calc it. Oh, I'm like so torn because I'm kind of looking at this. I'm going to leave it in very good. I think it is definitely one of the better Pokemon on this list. Scrappy's a really cool ability. I'm probably being a bit generous here because like it needs something, right? It needs like a powerful normal attack. It lost Return, it lost Frustration. It doesn't get Double Edge. So unless there's like some either, unless they bring Return back or, they give it something new, I do think it could struggle. But like in saying that, it's very fast, it's very hard, has a cool typing. I think it's going to be okay. Mega Garchomp. I am not going to lie to you guys. Mega Garchomp is the whole reason I even got the idea to do this video. I'm going to put it right here in the needs help tier. It is one of the worst Mega evolutions of all time. Everyone kind of knows why it's so bad, but let's just take a look at these two. You have Mega Garchomp, and then you have a base Garchomp. So again, we'll kind of like go back and forth on these two, right? So if you have a look at the stats here, right, of course the HP is the same. We do see a 40 point increase to the attack here. We also see a 25 point increase to the defense. We also see a whopping 40 points into the special attack. That's huge, right? It also gains 10 special defense, which is not bad, but it loses 10 speed. Now, one of the big reasons Garchomp has been so good for so long is, like, for example, if I just, like, go and pull up my GC team I'm working on here, probably shouldn't leak this here, but it is what it is. Actually, we're not going to leak my GC. All right, so if I pull up this Regulation H ladder, the format we're currently playing, we have a look at the speed tiers, right? Of course, Dragapult's a very good Pokemon. Talonflame's pretty good. You know, you kind of skip down here, right? And just go past, you know, a bulk of the Pokemon here, because a lot of these aren't very good. But what you'll notice here at, like, this base 100 tier is you start seeing a lot of, like, pretty solid Pokemon, right? There are a lot of Pokemon that are around base 100 that are solid, right? Of course, Charizard's okay. You got Palafin's a good one. You got Salamence, which is good. Of course, you got things like Explosion. You got Volcarona. Hydreigon's there at 98. We also have the Arcanine at 95. We have Maylin Didi at 95. That's a pretty good Pokemon at the minute. We have Hisuian Typhlosion 95. Young Mega 95. Like, there are just a lot of pretty solid Pokemon that are around that 100 base speed or lower, right? Again, the further down the list you go, you got things like Ape, Hisuian, Arcanine, and whatnot. So it kind of sits in this really cool position where, of like all of the pseudo legends outside of Dragapult, it's just that little bit faster than like all of them, right? Like if we go back to the top, if we just have a look at the highest base stat totals here, of course you got the Goat Dragapult, but then a lot of these Pokemon, again, you just look at the speed stat here, 102 on Chomp, and then there's like not much of the huge base stat Pokemon that kind of outspeed it, right? You keep going down the list. It's not until you get to Noivern at 535 that you actually find another Pokemon outside of Dragapult that outspeeds it, which is definitely really, really crazy, right? So we'll head back over here. I think that speed drop is one of the biggest things. And of course, the other thing here is Sandforce is like actually a pretty average ability, because the issue with Sandforce is you have to play it with Garchomp basically to make it work. Sorry, not Garchomp, Tyranitar. But like at the same time, you could just play like Abandoned Garchomp. You're faster, you hit harder. You also have like Rough Skin or Sand Veil, so like you've got like better defensive abilities. Again, you could even run this thing with like Life Orb. You could run, again, like one of my favorite sets for Garchomp is Swords Dance, and one of the big reasons for it is like on these like bulkier balance teams, right? You run things like Stomping Tantrum, Dragon Claw, Swords Dance, Protect, and like you don't have to actually invest that much speed into it because it's already like so quick, right? Like if you just think about like what does a Garchomp need to outspeed, right? My biggest thing would probably say it would probably just be like, you know, outspeeding things like you know, Volcarona, for example. So maybe you are just going to run something like max speed on an Adamant Nature. You know, you hit some bump number along the way, and then like, yeah, you play something like this, you play the Adamant Nature, and then you can kind of like invest 180 points into Volt, right? Allow it to live some certain attacks. You can even change this up. You probably don't even need this much speed as well. You can probably drop this as low as like, what, I think it's like 130, is it 138 that gets like a modest Goldango? I think Goldango's around this stage. Like you can play something like this, you know, like play really offensive. You can play it like super duper bulky where you like, you know, you run some sets like this. Like there's just so much flexibility with Garchomp that Mega Garchomp just doesn't have. And it's like, yeah, its stats are higher, but like putting 40 points into the special attack, like in my opinion, screwed this Pokemon. Like again, in a vacuum, it's actually like an okay Pokemon. Like 170 is like really good. Its bulk's really nice. Its speed stats okay. But its biggest issue is like regular Garchomp is just better. Like regular Garchomp with Life Orb does everything this does, but better. Because of that, I'm putting it in the needs help tier. If you ask me what I think this mon needs, I would say take 20 out of its special attack, put it into its speed, and it's a better Pokemon. Make this thing base 112, leave everything else the same, and this is probably like this. Like seriously, those 20 points would put this up here. Like maybe it needs like a little more. Maybe you'd have to do like 30 so it outspeeds something like Mega Salamence. But it's like if this thing even just goes back to 102, you take 10 out of the special attack with 10 in speed, you slap something like a Rock Slide on it, you play it with like a regular T-Tar, all of a sudden like, you know, Charizard's like place in the meta is like it's gone. But yeah, it's I don't know, dude. This Pokemon needs a lot of help. I think it is one of the worst Megas of all time, simply because its base form is just so much better. Mega Lucario, arguably the best Pokemon on this tier list. It is a very good. I think the thing for Lucario, at least in my opinion, comes down to how good our good friend Mega Kangaskhan ends up being. So one of the cool things about Lucario, right, is in its base form, it has some pretty cool abilities, right? Steadfast, not too bad. If this Pokemon is flinched, its speed gets raised by 1. And of course, as well, you have Inner Focus, which isn't too bad, right? You know, you've obviously can't be flinched, you can't be intimidated, very, very good. And then also Justified as well. Like, honestly, all of Lucario's base abilities are actually, like, really good. Like, it's something the way you could really play around with it, where, like, if you can, like, somehow play around flinching your own Lucario, you get +1 speed onto this absolute behemoth with adaptability, it would go kind of crazy. You can also play around with Inner Focus as well, which I think will be its most common set, just saying like, hey, I'm leading this, you can't intimidate me on lead, you can't pivot in, you intimidate. And I could also potentially just stay in base form, fire off a big attack. And then, of course, finally, Justified. I was actually talking to one of my homies about this the other day. Justified Lucario is going to be, like, so funny because you pair this thing up with, like, a mouse hold, like, anything with beat up, and if you just let them set up turn 1 where, like, the Lucario does, like, whatever it wants to do, and then you beat it up, and then it gets +4, and then it megas, it's going to be huge. And another thing as well, regular Lucario base 90 speed, Mega Lucario base 112. That 22 points is massive, especially with dynamic speed. It basically just makes this Pokemon incredibly quick compared to a lot of Pokemon in the metagame. As I mentioned before as well, one of the best Pokemon into Mega Kangaskhan, because with with Inner Focus plus Close Combat, you basically can't be faked out by it turn 1. You can't be intimidated by its allies, and then you can just close combat it and nuke it. Of course, Steel Fighting also, again, Fighting gives you that super effective stab, and Steel allows you to resist things like Fake Out and the, whatever normal movement wants to click. So if Mega Kang does end up being really good, I think Mega Lucario is also going to be really good. And 145 and 140 with adaptability is just absurd. I don't think it's going to be meta-defining, but it's going to be very, very good. So Mega Gallade, probably in my opinion, is like the most nerfed Mega on this list. I'm going to put it needs help for one simple reason. And again, I feel like a lot of these Pokemon we've been talking about today all kind of have the same issue. And that's why run the Mega when the base form exists. Now, of course, you have a look at these stats, right? 165 versus 125. Huge increase there. Also 30 points into the speed. Huge Inner Focus as well. Can't be intimidated. Can't be faked out. Very, very good. The issue is just this sharpness. Like, I can't stress this enough. I was actually talking to one of the boys in the Discord about this. Benji, shout out to him. The Gallade enthusiast. And sharpness Gallade is just stronger than Mega Gallade. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, it's like, yes, you've got 40 more attack. But, like, close combat off this, right? So you got close combat, 120 base power. This Pokemon has Sacred Sword, which gets buffed. What? Sacred. Yeah, there we go. Sacred Sword, which gets buffed by Sharpness. And apparently the damage on them is, like, almost identical. The big difference is Mega Gallade's clicking close combat, which has a drawback. And you're clicking Sacred Sword on the Gallade, which is, like, ignoring the defense boost on the opponent. So, like, against things like, of course, Archaladon, like, very, very strong. Of course, as well, Mega Gallade is quite a bit faster. Because of that, I'm actually going to lift it. This Pokemon doesn't need help. Like, it's still a good Pokemon. And, like, I think you could argue it's actually probably, like, more playable better than, like, the rest of the mons on the playable tier. But if Mega Gallade, with these stats, gets Sharpness over Inner Focus, and then you can swap this, like, instead of playing, actually, I was going to say, instead of playing Sharpness here, but you probably still... Are you still playing Sharpness? Trying to figure this out, like, because just Steadfast is also really cool if you like get it in on a fake out, but then like Justified, like same thing as Mega Lucario, right? If you get this thing to +4, like, and then you tear like Mega and get that speed boost, it's kind of crazy. Because like the stats are good, man. Like obviously like the HP is kind of average, but the defensive stats are really good. The attack's insane, the speed's insane. Yeah, dude. Honestly, like part of me is like this thing's actually just better than Mega Lopunny. Yeah, honestly, I think Mega Lopunny probably needs to go down here. Yeah, I'm going to put Mega Lopunny down there. I don't think it's that good. I think Gallade's better, and I don't think Gallade's a very good Pokemon. Or, like, it's not very good. I think it's playable. I think it's solid. Like, if this one gets Sharpness, it's like here. Like, straight up, it's in the very good tier. Yeah, for now, I'm going to say it's playable. Mega Audino. I am not going to lie. This is, like, probably the worst. Probably the worst Mega in the game. Like, I don't know, dude. You got Healer, Regenerator, and Klutz. Like, maybe if you give Regenerator to Mega Audino instead, it's like maybe it does something, but like again, this kind of goes back to something I was talking about in one of the last videos where like Healer's like a bad ability, right? But like, why am I megaing my defensive Pokemon? Like you don't get Follow Me, do you? You don't get Follow Me. Like you've got 80 attack, so it's like 80 special attack. So like at most you're like, do you have Moonblast? You don't even have Moonblast. You got like Dazzle or something. Yeah, you got a Dazzle. Like, do you get a Helping Hand? You get a Helping Hand. Like, what else does this Pokemon do as a support? I mean, like, you can Calm Mind Up. You're probably not going to get anything out of it. You got Pain Split. You have, like, Reliable Recovery. We got, like, After You. You got Ally Switch. Bestow. Crazy. Give it my Mega Stone. Heal Pulse. Like, yeah. I mean, like, this Pokemon's a support Pokemon that wants to heal its allies. Like, if this was, like, a Pokemon that wasn't holding a Mega, it'd be, like, maybe okay, but as a Mega, it just does nothing. Like, I'm not using my Mega... But the way I see it is, why use a Mega that heals when I could just use Mega Salamence, Mega Charizard, Mega Metagross? Like, these big, strong attackers when it just makes no sense. The final Pokemon on this list here is Mega Diancie. Now, this one, definitely probably the least important Pokemon on this list because it is a mythical, and there's probably like no point in us touching on it. But in saying that, really, really cool. It's very quick, 110, very offensive, like hitting 160. Diamond Storm off this thing is a mother effer. Does a lot of damage, good spread move, of course, gets access to things like Moonblast. Of course, I believe it gets Carbine as well. So, honestly, this Pokemon, when it's legal, it's probably gonna be pretty good. It's got Magic Bounce too, so basically you can't status this thing. I mean, the issue is, like, it's just never gonna be legal. I'm just gonna say it's very good. Like, I don't actually know. Like, it's definitely playable. It's probably very good. It's weird because it's a mythical. Like, maybe it shouldn't even be on this list. Maybe it needs help because it needs to not be a mythical to be playable. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, look, I will say, guys, I think this list is, like, probably fine. Like, in all honesty, I think, like, these are your two best, right? Like, without a doubt, Lucario, T-Tar are both, like, good, and I actually expect them to see play. I think who is better will definitely be dependent on the format. Honestly, like, it's weird because I don't think Scizor is on the level of these two, but I definitely think it's a bit better than Gallade. Like, on Rain, I think it's going to be pretty solid. Obviously, Diancie's, like, we might not ever be able to use this thing legally in VGC. I actually think, like, Mythicals wouldn't be too bad, and that's, like, a video for another day. But I think going into Champions, Mythicals could actually be playable in VGC. But yeah, unfortunately, the rest of these are all just, like, pretty average. Like, yeah, there's not really much else to say. I think the best Megas came from the other generations, but look, now that this is finished, I'll probably just, like, compile a list, and then probably just, like, upload it onto my page or something. Be like, here's my tier list. Maybe I'll put it on, like, on Twitter as well, and just get people to be mad or something. I don't know. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this one. I guess let me know down below what you think of it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this kind of, I guess, discussion-based content talking about the Megas, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I have a lot more plans with these tier lists. The whole reason I kind of split them up into 3 separate tiers is simply because I actually have a lot more video ideas I wanted to do, and I felt it was easier if I kind of split these up into 3 different tiers. Just that way I could kind of, get a bit more in depth on those video ideas I had. But anyway, that's enough rambling. That's been enough for this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.